No one wants to hear that some of us are better mothers when we use cannabis, but some of us are better mothers when we use cannabis. Like, I
Yeah.
also love too that not only am I able to kind of quiet down some of the anger, frustration, anxiety of parenting, I also it really brings about for me, I get so curious. Like it really and it depends on what I'm using and how much of it, but it brings out the curiosity in me. And so suddenly my kids that were maybe so loud, so irritating, so much, too much, are all of that gets to quiet down for a second. And I'm able to then just look at them as these wonderful little beings that I made. I get really curious around them. Like I want to know everything about what's going on. And I wish that I could stay in that state all the time and not, but sometimes it's a great tool that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Similar with microdosing. The first time I
Mhm.
microdosed, I forgot that I took it in the morning and it was after
Yes.
the evening and I was loading the dishes. And there was my little one throwing a tantrum on the floor. And my thoughts were, instead of like, oh my
Ah,
gosh, how do I get him to stop? Right. And
yes.
screaming back at him, my thoughts were like, oh, look at him. He's just experiencing life and he's just
Right.
feeling his emotions. And it's,
Yes.
that's what we came here to do. And then I was doing the
Yes.
dishes and I was like, I'm so grateful. I have water and a dishwasher.
Yep.
And I was like, what? I just had a really good day. What happened? Nothing happened. I just doing laundry and
Yep.
the things. And it was like, oh, that a really good day reminded me of that book of Violet Wadman. And I was like, oh, that's what the really like this just helped me become more. But there's a caution with the microdosing too, because it's actually different than cannabis, very different. Some people
Yeah.
kind of relate them together. They're so different,
No, they're totally different.
but
Yeah.
it can help you. For me, I feel like it's more of myself, but it amplifies emotions. And
Yes.
so if I'm feeling pretty good, I'm like, oh yes, okay, I know that this is a moment and I want to be present for it, and I know how, everything in
Yep.
the universe. But it can also, if I've been shoving down things and things are
Yep.
really stressful,
Gonna pull them all out of that
even
bag for you and bring them to light.
yes, it can
Yep.
bring up those emotions. It can make you feel and cry. And a lot of times it holds me in it too. But you only need 90 seconds. So, scientifically, 90 seconds to process
Yeah.
and feel an emotion and let it move through your body so that you don't store it in your body as
Yeah.
tension, as stress. Release the stress hormones. So, if you only need 90 seconds to
Yep.
feel an emotion, and I mean, if you had a loved one pass away, you're going to need some time, right? But
Yeah.
if you're just feeling some anxiety or stress or anger and you just sit with it and breathe for 90
Mhm.
seconds and let it move through your body, it's that a lot of times I do. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's all I needed to do. I've been pushing this off and stressing and not feeling it all day. And all I needed was 90 seconds and I'm okay. I realize I'm
Yeah.
okay and
Yeah.
I can breathe and I can move on with my day. One other thing, real fast, you said all these things that were bringing up
Yeah.
stuff, but I interviewed Melanie. She's a cannabis expert, so way back at the beginning, and she talks about her son saying she used it for chronic pain. She was in a car
Yeah.
accident and was debilitating pain, and her son was like, Mom, and they moved to Oregon. This was years ago, so that it could be legal. He said,
Mm,
I just love that you started using cannabis. And she's like, really? How come? And he's like, you sing in the kitchen again. You're just
yeah.
like happier and more present and more here for me. So that's a total gift if we use it the right way.
It is. And I like I said, it makes me a better parent in a lot of ways because it just kind of removes some of that noise and frustration that kind of comes with parenting, especially towards the end of the day, especially after a full day, especially, when all three of my kids are at it at the same time, it's overwhelming in terms of stimulation. And so to be able to quiet some of that stuff down, focus on them, not be irritated by the tantrum on the floor, but instead be curious about it. It's a game changer. And I love everything you said too, because it comes back to what I keep, it's the intention. If you are not working on your mental health, if you are stuck in some of these places, it's going to pull all that stuff up, especially psilocybin, right? And it's going to say, hey, you got to look at this, you got to process this, it's time, we got to let this stuff go, or it's just going to keep ruling over your life.